Imagine a man so feared. Sailors whispered his name like a curse, a towering shadow draped in black, beard coiled with smoke, eyes blazing with madness. He didn't need to fire a single shot. His presence alone could sink the hearts of men. This is not a myth. This is the true story of the most terrifying pirate to ever live. Blackbeard. Blackbeard. The name echoes across centuries, tangled in myth, fear, and fire. Born as Edward Teach, or perhaps Thatch, the details are as murky as the waters he ruled. What we do know is that he became a legend not because of how many he killed, but how deeply he could frighten without lifting a sword. He wasn't just a pirate. He was a showman of terror, a master of psychological warfare who turned fear into a weapon more powerful than cannonballs. But where did he come from? And how did he rise so quickly, only to fall just as dramatically? Let's sail back to the stormy birth of a legend. Little is known of Edward Teach's youth. He was likely born in Bristol, England, sometime around 1680, a port city known for shipping, trade, and sailors hungry for fortune. Young Edward probably joined a British privateer during the War of Spanish Succession, fighting under government license to raid enemy ships. But peace in 1713 turned soldiers into mercenaries, and mercenaries into pirates. That's when Edward turned his back on the crown and headed toward the lawless waters of the Caribbean. He joined a crew under the infamous pirate Benjamin Hornigold and quickly proved himself smart, ruthless, and daring. By 1717, Teach had captured a massive French slave ship, La Concorde. He mounted 40 cannons on it and renamed it Queen Anne's Revenge. Now, with a floating fortress under his command, Edward Teach transformed into Blackbeard. He tied fuse cords under his hat, which he lit during battle. Smoke would curl from his face like a demon rising from hell. He draped his chest with 6 pistols, carried swords on both hips, and towered over most men. But here's the truth. Blackbeard didn't want to fight. He scared ships into surrendering without a single shot. And it worked. Over and over again. In 1718, Blackbeard pulled off one of the boldest moves in pirate history. He blockaded the port of Charleston, South Carolina, a wealthy British colony. For nearly a week, no ships could enter or leave. He held the entire city hostage, not for gold, but for medicine for his crew. Charleston gave in. No bloodshed. Blackbeard got what he wanted and vanished into the sea like a phantom. He was no savage brute. He was strategic, calculated, and always one step ahead. But empires do not tolerate chaos for long. Blackbeard knew the noose was tightening, so he tried to go clean. He accepted a royal pardon from the governor of North Carolina, but it was just a cover. In secret, Blackbeard continued to raid ships, his hideout buried in the twisted marshes of Ocracoke Island, invisible to all but the loyal. He threw lavish parties with smugglers, corrupt officials, and pirates. Some say he buried treasure. Others say he was the treasure, a living symbol of freedom, rebellion, and chaos. But the British Empire had had enough. November 1718. Lieutenant Robert Maynard, under orders from Virginia's governor, set sail to end Blackbeard's reign once and for all. At dawn, they found him anchored off Ocracoke. What followed was not a battle. It was a war dance. Blackbeard fought like a monster from legend, cutlass in one hand, pistol in the other, eyes wild with fury. He was shot 5 times, stabbed over 20 times, and still he fought on. It took beheading him to finally stop the Pirate King. His head was hung from the bow of Maynard's ship, but his legend sailed on. Blackbeard was dead, but the myth had only just begun. Was he a demon, a devil in flesh, or simply a man who understood the power of fear better than anyone before him? In just 2 years, he carved a place in history so deep. We're still telling his story 300 years later. No buried treasure has ever been found. But maybe Blackbeard's real treasure was the fear he left behind. If you sail the waters off North Carolina, some still say they've seen him. A black shadow on the mist, smoke rising from the sea, a whisper of a voice. I am Blackbeard.